Hello everyone. Once again, this is Father Ed. I want to continue to offer you this narrative of a personal journey, a mystical journey that involves the depth of self-transformation and consciousness. And within that journey, there is no limitation to the mystic. There are no limitations to boundaries. Therefore, I offer you this so that you might find in your journey that wonderful joy of unboundedness, state of reality, that unbounded nature of consciousness that you are, pure, Atma Brahm, that is Sanskrit for the self, is God, being, essence. In Rigveda, in the Vedantic literature, it says, Ayam Atma Brahm. So there are no boundaries, no matter what tradition you come from, because all of it is yoga. It is union. It is totality, oneness. And so I offer you this narrative that I'm hoping that in your journey will help you to come to discern the beautiful process that you are, the beautiful nature that you are unfolding the lotus within consciousness, especially within your heart, within that value. So I will read a little bit that would help quicken this video, as I can, as I mentioned before, I can talk on and on and on, but I don't want to bore you. I do want to walk with you step by step. And that is one thing that when you are on the spiritual journey, you may call it whatever you wish. If you are religious, claim your spirituality. Claim your mystic value of consciousness that is spirituality. It is the mystical that will save the church. And that is the truth. Therefore, in this narrative, I reflect from two very opposing positions. One is the universal, and the other mundane. And as I have spoken to you previously about the value of my unfoldment began before birth, and which I recall. And I hope to speak about that often so that you can gather your own experiential nature, your own lens, that this narrative will help you come together in the journey. First of all, the universal, cosmic source, I'm involved with deeply. The level of meditation, whatever your meditation might be, it doesn't matter. Meditation, as long as you come into the depth of that meditation using pranayama, and then come into prayer later on as you purify all the nadis within your physical system, within your consciousness, your physical body, all are purified. And that opens up that wonderful placement of prayer. And most people don't know how to pray, and that's the truth of the matter. So you want to empower and come into that self-nature of empowerment to prayer that will help you and your process, and that in effect will help the world ease its hot spots, its out of control and chaos placement. So I reflect in my own consciousness that reveals wholeness of being, that non-duality, in Sanskrit, Ayvedya, and its systems of integration as wholeness on the move. Because each day, each moment, 24/7, you are on the move towards that reality, towards that unity, towards that oneness in all things. And with this video, I'm hoping that we can discern and describe and become discriminative in our knowledge, that step by step we become systemic, so that we can lead and offer you page per page of knowing, and through that knowing, understanding. In the second is the experience in the physical, essential nature within our aspects or attributes, which I've alluded to previously. That involves karma versus dharma. The karmic level speaks to cause and effect. The dharmic level is that karma of the Lord, karma of that wonderful lila, that play of consciousness that unfolds daily, 24/7, as you, pure essence, pure being. And that's what I'm referring to. And that's what I hope to bring us to, that placement of essence and pure being, pure consciousness, so that you can understand that who you think you are is not really you. It's just an image, a reflection. It's part of the lila, part of the drama, part of the play, that you'll unfold your own karma, your own dharma. If you're on the wheel of karma, then you already know that for sure. If you're on the wheel of dharma, which is direct source, you are playing that wonderful play of consciousness, that as you hear the flute, you hear the sound of that divinity within, in all its form. So the dilemma for us is to understand the inner workings to self-realization, based on how we perceive the value of non-separation of self, our state of consciousness, the divine and the mundane experience. So we have to really piece it all together. It's a package. One is more real than the other. There's always going to be that thief that comes when a package arrives from Amazon or UPS. And then there's always going to be that thief that will want to pick up, and will pick up, your gifts. And if there are tools that you need for the journey, that thief will come in the dark while you're away sleeping. So we have to be discerning. We have to stay awake. And so it's not easy to do that on our own. But prayer, especially meditation, will help induce that activity to prayer. Parts of the attributes of being a devotee. A prayerful spiritual yogi or yogini. And in my case, a yogi, a mystic, a Christian Vedantic sojourner. Once again, if you're on the mystical journey, there are no separations as to what garb you wear or not. You are eating locusts and honey wherever you are. It's beautiful. Of course, a little bit more honey than locusts. Anyway, for me as a seeker and devotee, see with clarity the perception of the cosmic source manifested, if you will, as direct knowledge. And this is the thing about it, coming into direct knowledge for your practice, your journey, so that you can have this self-referral consciousness stand by at all times, because that's who you are. You are self-empowered by that nature, that essence, and that's where we're going to. Now, once again, coming back to my pre-birth, there was that state of non-cognitive element. It wasn't an attribute of neuro-consciousness, if you will, that I was able to discern and intellectualize or analyze, because I wasn't in the physical body. My mind was pure essence, consciousness, that responded and understood the direct call from a direct source, direct knowledge. So my experience was one that offered me at various levels of substance prior to egoistic functioning, and then became in the physical birthing process. Nevertheless, remembered mind. And so in the process of birthing, that increased the ego body, that increased the vrittis, or the, I don't know, like the sprinkles of consciousness that needed to act out, needed to manifest. And so, like our mindset, we need to go bowling, or we need to have a cigarette, or we need to have a whatever. We're thinking 24/7, every second. Multi-thinking, multitasking. So these are vrittis, or these are activities of mind, if you will, non-stop. Even when we are meditating, we're still thinking. That is vritti. That is the continuity of vritti. Is we need to come into that stilling the mind through the aspect of nirodha. Nirodha is ceasing of that thinking. So it is a process that we will continue to speak about, and I'll speak about that later. So I became aware of a perceived knowing to the state of non-cognition, called in Sanskrit asamprajnata, or jnata, that is without discernment. So this knowledge stems from a cosmic source, stems from a cosmic law, understood directly prior to birth. I responded based on that direct understanding, based on that direct knowing. It did not attribute to a discernment process of analysis. It was a response on my part of unfolding towards making the next step of evolution, of action, reaction, that is that karma value. But on this case, it was a dharmic initiation. Initiated the ball to roll into what I needed to do in regards to service to God consciousness, to service to become what I need to become in this lifetime, to teach, to heal, whatever. Go bowling, have a beer, whatever. I don't smoke. I did. But that being said, before I fall apart here, my papers that I am referring to is that there is a relationship that incurred with the divine order which began prior to birth. And because of this divine order, the cosmic unfoldment began, that I became aware. That is the cognitive. Samprajñata, correct pronunciation, began to respond from my call into the world of duality, into this world of duality. And so, that being said, moreover, my understanding has offered me a systemic approach to the fundamentals of the Vedic literature. Once again, we are cosmic beings, so we understand the cosmic connection. The Vedic language of Hinduism is very precise because it's connected to word stitches that come together, wording that comes together when we speak in Sanskrit, when we pray in Sanskrit. To give you a small example, Om, A-U-M. Those are three letters that are connected, A, U, and M. Each have its definition in terms of consciousness. And so with that, I don't want to distract myself by going into the depth of the meaning of Om, but I want to say that the spelling of Om is when you say Om, you're saying A-U-M. And so very important in terms of the unfoldment of the attributes of power. The attributes will change your life, will change the life of others as you pray. Your consciousness will pray Om for 12 years, and you can pass that Om prayer to others in your environment, changing and shifting your world, your city, your state, just by Oming. Om, 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 Om. Continue that value and you will reach enlightenment in this very lifetime. That's what I understand. It's very good, very powerful. And that's what I mean by clarifying your mind through meditation, through pranayama. This is really important. Pranayama is very important. Meditation, very important. I don't care what kind of meditation you do, it is going to do for you what you need. I don't care what you call it. If you call it meditation, you got to be aware that it's meditation. And pranayama, the most important thing that you know, that you must be aware of. As I reflect on my notes. So this is really important, that you have to discern the elements and the attributes of the meaning and the context of your unfoldment, of your consciousness, one piece at a time, taking it into the next level. Turning the page, if you will. In Sanskrit, each pada, each book, each page, each stitch, you can discern by and understand through the meaning of memory, the meaning of karma, the meaning of dharma, the meaning of the gunas, the three gunas, the attributes, the elements of the physiology, the elements of consciousness. This is just the start. I'm looking at my timing, and this is a lot. So I want to piece it together so it doesn't confuse you or me. So discriminative knowledge is really important. You are coming into systems, researching systemically the value of consciousness. My experience in research to consciousness is one that is mapped out, if you will, automatically. It's a beautiful thing because it's working 24/7. The map is there. All we need to do is recognize what the map looks like at the level of cosmic consciousness. Quantum science speaks about that. The quantum value speaks about how you can see it, how you can understand it, how you can know where you're at in your journey. So out of mapping it out, you can understand the journey towards self-referral, totality of being. It's a beautiful thing because even in our misery, we'll understand why we are so depressed today. Oh, okay. I know that I'm waking up kind of depressed and I'm low and I feel like, okay, I need to say this mantra to level that energy out of my consciousness through the heart level. It's through the Mother Divine that will nurture that heart level because it's an emotional thing, this suffering, this misery of emotional depression. So you say that prayer. Om Aim Rim Klim Chamundaye Viche Namaha. So that aspect of Chamundi is a powerful reflection of Durga. Durga, that being the mother that is taking care of business, will cut the ties that are binding you and empower you. This is a powerful mantra for women, by the way. Always, because it's divine feminine nature that speaks to that mantra, the Mother Divine. So as I reflect on my notes here, so it's essential for one to understand one's inquiry to the spiritual. Don't let nothing hold you back. If religion is an issue, don't let that hold you back because it's an aspect, it's a reflection of what you created for yourself. You want to be whatever tradition you are in a Christian tradition, I'll basically leave it in the Christian neighborhood where you go to church and you're having a conflict with whatever in church, the dogma, no problem. It's not your problem. Your problem is that you're not into your spirituality. Just climb into that spiritual boat. Look at Jesus and the 4 disciples in that boat. Oh Lord, I can't walk on water. Help me. And the Lord Jesus is like, okay, no problem. I'll walk to you. That's the thing about it. There's conflict. Religion versus spirituality. Is there conflict? No. One needs to reflect the imagery and be upheld by that inner light, that Christ consciousness. No problem. So there's non-issue here. There's no conflict. So we have to become objectless concentration, the suppression of all mind modification. In other words, the example I just gave you is a conflict of mind. That's a mind modification, that when you cease that vibration, vritti nirodha, that is a mantra, vritti nirodha, meaning calming the agitation of the mind, vritti nirodha, ceasing that excitement. So we want to gravitate to nirodha, gravitate to quietude, peace, shanti. So the first step is, how are we perceiving and experiencing the narrative of life? And the second element is how one is purifying our ego, dissolving latent impressions, allowing the mind to merge. The three elements or aspects to this that addresses this. In order to, for transformation to occur, he or she, through one's practice and understanding in how they perceive, is very, very important. Let me explain. As I mentioned previously in my previous videos, karma, the impressions of good and bad, etc. There are 6 stages, obviously, through birthing process. The embryo, birth, growth, modification, thinking, decay, and death. And the 5 airs, the 5 pranas, are very important. The 5 actions, the sense organs, and the 5 powers of perception: sound, touch, smell, taste, and hearing. I think I mentioned that already. Anyway, so the perception, modification of mind is really important. So there are 3 aspects, functions. That is, I won't read them, they're in Sanskrit. That is the vibration of the mental. That is the creation of mind modification, mindsets. And it goes a little bit deeper, and I'm going to pass that up because I think we're running a little bit behind time. But that being said, we are also made up of gunas, as I mentioned previously, the sattva, rajas, and tamasic, of manas, which is mind, buddhi, intellect, and ahamkara. Ahamkara is ego. So all of these are packaged into who we are as human beings. Now, this second element we want to speak about, self-awareness, means knowledge of which the Creator and what that means for us. How are we devoted in our particular tradition, our particular way? In other words, we are devoted to service in the world, to meditation, to prayer for the world, for others. We are devoted to healing, practice. So we come into the dynamics of witnessing all that we do. It's really important. Variations of mindsets that relate to things outside the sense organ. There are 3 aspects: perception, direct perception, the inference of that perception, and one's testimony of that perception. So it's within the experience that relates to what occurs inside the sense organ. In other words, your actions and what is happening with your tuning of your consciousness, your physical reality in your world, etc. So the impressions of your minds are affected as one is the witness to what hears in prayer, what hears the sound of peace, of the river that ignites the heart, because the heart is emotional, it's harmony. It's the first thing that will respond, and then if it's a sad, it'll respond first at the heart level and then with the emotions of tears. They could be sorrowful tears or blissful tears. It depends on the person who is cognitively aware, hearing your personal call in the journey. And so we have all these aspects within our consciousness to really help us. Once again, I didn't mention, well I did, but I didn't mention it in Sanskrit, and they are the elements that speak about the attributes that allow us to function and to experience. It's called tanmantra. Sound, hearing, feeling, sensing, speaking. These are elements or attributes that allow us to know what are the forms that are swaying us, that causes us to react. From the guna, we could react from a sattvic or a truthful way, or tamasic, a very lethargic way. Rajasic, that'll cause us action. So the best part is that we know that we have to get rid of both action and inaction in order to reach the truth, and that is the sattvic pathway. And so what I've mentioned before is the essence of self, that is the truth, that is a sattvic condition. Now once again it comes to speak about the perception. It concerns with what is inferred. Let's say in your meditation that you witness, you hear something, you see something in meditation. The whole idea is to become one-pointedness in your meditation, meaning going blank, if you will. That is the mechanism to purifying your karmas, eradicating your karmas. What will help you do that is coming into one-pointed mindfulness to your essence and being. That helps you to recall the self. Concerns with an awareness, to witness to your own truth. the depth of your own personal call. And so that's what I'm attempting to help you come back to your original call. The way and the means for you to do that is to know how to walk your path, how to understand your journey. Why are you here? Coming back to the basics. And these are very, very important tools and steps for you to get back to where you need to be. And there are certain aspects that will help us get there. I've mentioned some of them. And in the discussion have alluded to certain elements or certain values that spoke about sound, touch, sight, taste, and smell. So these are attributes within that will help you discern to reach a higher state of direct knowing. So in your meditation, you're able to realize this value through the elements given, the aspects that are offering you a gross eye sense or I-ness to you that will help you discern as you meditate and do your pranayamas more and more and more. They become less and less and less and less calmer. And that calmness will help you to know that you won't be disturbed by misery. You won't be disturbed by pain, sorrow. But instead will increase your bliss, your happiness, your joys, but from a direct sense of being, that direct sense of knowing. You will understand through the process of knowing that you will know, and that through this you shall become one. And so that is today's topic, or today's discussion. I hope that this finds you well this Sunday, and that all things are good in this time of upheaval, that we can go into the centeredness of being and bless those who are out of center, and especially our so-called leaders. All we need to do is pay attention to ourselves. The more we are light, love, and peace, the more correctness will manifest in your world. With that, I bless you and thank you and honor your hearts. God bless you. Until next time. Namaste. God bless you. Peace and all good. Om Shanti Prema. Om Shanti Prema. Om Shanti Prema. God is love and peace. Peace. Bye-bye.